Hello, everyone. This is Rose. Today's topic from the Book of Life is why are women always blamed for the lust of a man? Men have lust after women since the beginning of creation. A man lust causes him to behave in an erratic way. It appears that because God created a woman to be his helpmate, that he feels this means he can take of her body without permission when she is not his wife. So many women have experienced this act of being degraded by the hands of a man, violating her free will and her right to say no. This is a very important topic because this is something that's been going on for a long time. And it's time to bring a little awareness to the mindset of the woman and the man during this violation time. Because of this, women psychologically falls into one of two categories. When they have been violated, it's a psychological blow to them that they have to deal with. And it puts them into one of two categories. The first category, category one, the woman takes back her power by using her body to entice the lust of the man with her as the one in control. So in category one, this woman wants to take back her power that was violated by the hands of a man. So she want to take it back by using her body to entice. And I know that doesn't make sense. But when you understand that hurt people hurt other people, this is her form of being hurt and hurting the person that hurt her by using it in her control, under her power, where she has to control now. Category two is the woman becomes withdrawn. She withdraw from life. She withdraw from people. She psychologically withdraw. She withdraw through the form of depression. She becomes depressed. And any relationship she forms with a man is without emotions and feelings, including in her marriage. So either in the first category, she takes back her power. She now do to him and give to him. And I know it doesn't make sense to you men because you don't understand that hurt and how it rolls down. And now she wants to feel empowered. And in the second category, the woman just totally pull back and withdraw emotionally. She withdraws her feelings. She's here, but she's not that affectionate person. She's not that person that flaunt her body to a man. And even when she's in a relationship with a man, she's not there because of love, because this is a woman who doesn't really understand that meaning of love when it comes to a relationship between her and a man. And that's the same for a woman in the number one category. She doesn't understand that love when it comes to a relationship between her and a man. Okay, the mindset of the woman in category one, the one that takes back her power, is to use what caused the man to lust after her against him. In other words, in the mind of this woman, the man is blaming her for what God created, which is her. The man is blaming her for how God created her. God created her with boobs, breasts, whatever you want to call them, curved hips, a round butt, bottom, whatever you want to call it. But God created her that way. The man is blaming her for being created the way she was created by God. Many times the woman in this category, she would enhance the area of lust for a man. She would enhance those areas. She would go out and get bigger boobs, a BBL, and she uses her enhancements as a controlling weapon against a man, against the man. So a lot of times we judge women. We look at them and we talk about what they're wearing. We talk about how they're acting, how they flaunting what they have. And that's not fair to the woman because she did not create herself and she did not violate herself. She didn't put herself in that state of where her way of thinking is because of herself being violated. Now, the mindset of the woman in the second category, this is the woman that just pretty much withdraw in her feelings and her emotions and so forth. The mindset of her is that she did not have the protection. She was not protected. So that messes with her psychological mind, and that causes her to withdraw to where she's not trusting, not only of men, but of people in her life, period, who should have been there and should have protected her. And so therefore she just withdraws and she stay quiet. She doesn't open up easily to anyone, including a female person, because she was not protected by no one. And so she just holds her feelings and her emotions on the inside. Now we see a lot of scenarios. We see a lot of examples of the first category because we see the women. And the thing about it is that if a woman is at a beach or at a pool, outdoor pool, it's okay. The man or any people say it's okay if you dress in a bikini, a little teeny weeny bra or teeny weeny underwears that they call bikinis. It's okay. And we're not going to judge you. But outside of that environment, and if you put on some booty shorts or you put on a halter top or a nice lace bra top that the ladies wear now, the beautiful bra tops that covering up your boobs, but it's showing your belly, we're going to judge you now. And because the man lust is in his imagination, it's in his mind, then he's going to look at that woman and he's going to say, she's telling me something. She's telling me she wants me. That's why when she giggle and her boobs bounce in front of me, that's her way of telling me that she wants me. You know, she putting on this outfit is for me because she wants me. You know, that's the imagination of the man, assuming that because she wears something that's fitting, she wears some shorts. Heck, she could be dressed in a sackcloth dress from head to toe, and his imagination still gonna take him there to where he's gonna assume that she's sending him a signal. She's telling him something, and that's not the case. A woman cannot be a woman without being perceived as something that she is not, simply because of how she was created. And that's the bottom line here. Now, in the second category, here's an example, a scenario to how that woman comes about thinking the way she think. The reason why she is so withdrawn with her feelings and her emotions. Now, this story is going to be about a young lady called Sally. We're going to call her Sally. At the age of 8 years old, Sally was summoned by her mother to stay home and care for her 2-year-old daughter while the mother ran out the house to do some errands. Because see, Sally come from a time period when that was of the norm. Nowadays, they say, what is the oldest age should you leave a child at home by themselves? And there's a lot of controversy as to what that age is. But back in the days, when the baby boomers days was kids, that was normal. And prior to the baby boomers, it was normal for young kids to get on a train at the age of 7 and 5 by themselves to go to visit, to go to their family house in another state. That was normal, with a note pinned to their coat, pinned to their jacket. And people understood this, and people would help them on the train, help them make sure they get off at the correct stop. So that was normal. So Sally is a person who stayed at home. Her mom had her stay home at the age of 8 with her 2-year-old daughter. They lived in the brownstone building, upstairs and downstairs apartment. They had close friends that lived downstairs. And Sally and her 2-year-old sisters running around the house. The downstairs neighbor, who was visiting from out of town, from Mississippi, visiting his family, sees that Sally moms leave and hear the 2 sets of feet running upstairs. So what did he do? He go upstairs. He knocks on the door, and Sally is scared. She don't want to open the door. So she did what her mother taught her to do. Who is it? She said, who is it? And then the mother taught her to say, my mom is sleeping when somebody comes to the door, if she's not there. So she does that. He said, and she tells him that my mom is asleep, that I can't open the door for you. And then he tells her, because he knew the mom had left. So he tells her he got candy for her, that if you open the door, I give you this candy. And Sally, being 8 years old, living in a area of poverty where she don't get much sweets, and some days is hungry, don't see much food, she's enticed by the fact that he has candy. She wants the candy. So what she does is she put the chain on the door, and she cracked the door open and said, give me the candy. Okay, the door's open, give me the candy. And he said, no, you got to take the chain off the door. And she said, show me the candy. And he didn't have any candy. So then she said, you don't have candy. So he says he had to go and get the candy. He left it. And he tells her to open the door when I come back. So he comes back, and Sally put the chain on the door again. And she asked to see the candy. And he shows her the candy. So Sally opens the door for this man. This man, let's say he was in his late 20s, early 30s. And she opened the door, and he tells her, I cannot give you the candy until you get undressed. You have to take off your clothes. And Sally was embarrassed, and she was shameful. And she said, I don't want to take off my clothes. And he said, well, you can't get the candy. And so she's contemplating, should she take off her clothes to get the candy? And she was so embarrassed. So she says, okay, I need to go in the closet because I don't want to take off my clothes in front of you. And he said, okay, but you have to come out the closet once you get your clothes off. And she says, okay, but she goes in there and she doesn't take off her clothes. She's hiding because she don't know what to do. And her 2-year-old sister is in another room. And she's scared. And as she's in the closet, next thing you know, she hears her mom. her mom comes in the house, and she's so happy her mom is there because now she don't have to take off her clothes. But when the mom comes in, she can hear that sound like somebody was falling down the stairs because they stayed in the upstairs apartment. But what Sally found out was the man had ran down the stairs to his apartment where his uncle was there and asked him to be hidden. He was scared because he thinking, okay, the mom came home and caught me. So the mom calls for Sally. Where are you? Sally comes out the closet and she fully clothed. And she tell her mom, I'm sorry, I was scared. I went in the closet. He wanted me to take off my clothes for the candy. And instead of her mom comforting her and calling the police on this man, her mom beat her with an extension cord for opening up the door. Sally was beaten and not protected because her mom didn't know what else to do. Because when her mom was young, the same thing happened to her, and her family didn't protect her. So she gave to Sally the only solution she knew of, because it's the same solution she received, was to be punished for disobeying her mother, her parents. So Sally was punished. And Sally didn't understand why she was beaten, but she felt like she needed to think and remember what her mom said. And later in life, Sally realized that that has caused her a lot of damage, because every time she heard that man's name called by someone else that carried that same name, she began to tremble and she began to remember what happened to her. And that's when she realized, as she grew into a young woman, that she was carrying this trauma with her. Sally became very withdrawn from people and very quiet. She would always be quiet, and she was just a very humble kid. Now that Sally moves with her mom and her siblings to another state, and Sally is at this point just turning 17, and she's in a new state. She has to start a new school, her senior year at a new school in a new area, and she's kind of stayed within the perimeters of where they moved to because she didn't venture out too much. She's withdrawn. She didn't make too many friends. She knew she's got to learn people at her new school, but she was not sociable with many. She only had a couple of friends that she socialized with. So Sally knew that that move was very costly for her mother. So she decided, because she always worked all of her life during the summertime, since she was a young age, she always had a summer job. So Sally decided, well, I need to get a job after school because of the requirements of being in the 12th grade. You have prom, you have the school yearbook, you have the class pictures, you have all of these things. And her family being new to this state, to this city, mean that money has to be spent. And Sally figured I would get a job so that I can take care of my finance, whatever is needed, so I don't have to go to my mother for it. Sally gets a job like most young teenagers at fast food places, whether it be Burger King, Kentucky Fried Chicken, Taco Bell, Popeyes, all of these different places where you see a lot of young kids working at after school. Sally found her a job at a fast food restaurant. She goes and she's working. And usually she got acquainted with people that she worked with, and those people that whenever she had to close and which meant she didn't get home until 12:30 at night when she had to close because, most restaurants, fast food places close around 11, and then they have to clean up, and then they get to go home. But Sally would ask those people to give her a ride home. And sometimes she would have a ride pick her up. So Sally worked throughout her last year of high school, making money to take care of those things that she needed in her last year of high school. When she got close to the graduating, she knew there was time now to check into what college she was going to go to. And Sally had picked out a college. She actually enrolled in college, had selected her courses and so forth. And she began to tell her employer, her boss, who was someone that was in maybe his late 20s. She's not sure of his age. She just knows he was older than those that worked there. And she tells him, I can't close anymore. Matter of fact, I only want to work on weekends and open up because I getting ready to start college. And I need to have time to study, and I can't be up all night, and I have to get up early and go to school. So the manager agreed. Her boss, the manager agreed. He said, okay, we'll put you down for weekends only to open. So when Sally gets, all of a sudden she's ready to come to work that morning, and she get a call. Oh, I'm sorry, you was put on the schedule for closing this week. You don't need to come in this morning. You can come in and close. And she get a call saying that she wasn't to come in. So Sally was like, well, I told you that I need to only work the day shift. And they said, well, we'll do that starting next week. But this week we need you to close. This weekend you have to close. Sally goes in, and this young manager, he's not the one that called her, but he's the young manager, one of two of the managers there. And he's there. And she explains to him that she got a call from the daytime manager telling her not to come in because he saw that she was on the schedule for the evening shift. And she tells him that I told you that I wanted the day shift, and you told me I would be on there. And he told me that you all would fix it for next weekend. So that manager said, yeah, we'll fix it. I forgot you said day shift only. So she tells him, I don't have a way home, so I need to leave early to catch the bus. And she said, I can't work until closing. And he said, I will take you home. This is what he tells her. So Sally said, okay, only for this weekend. So when they closed up and they heading out at midnight, and she gets in his car, he turned out of the parking lot going in the right direction, but instead of turning left at the next light, he turned right. And Sally tells him, this is not the way to my home. You were supposed to make a left turn and you turn it right. And he says to her, he tells her, he said, oh, I need to go by my house and pick something up real quick. And Sally says, that doesn't make sense. Why do you need to go home and pick something up? You can go home and stay for the night once you drop me off. That doesn't make sense. And then he confessed, and he go, oh, well, what it is, I just bought a house. I just bought a house that I grew up in with my parents when I was a kid. And they moved out of that house, and I bought it. And I just wanted you to see my new house. And she said, well, I don't want to see your new house. I just want to go home. It's late. And he said, well, we just run right quick. He said, I just want you to see and get your opinion. And she's like, I don't want to see your new house. But he proceeded to keep going to his new house. And she's sitting there thinking, what am I going to do? I'm new to this state, to this city. I have not adventured too far away from where I live because I don't have a car. My mom don't have a car. I take the bus everywhere I go, so I'm not familiar with this area. And he's taking me somewhere I don't know where he's taking me. So she didn't know what to do. Do she jump out the car and run to someone, another stranger, to a stranger and ask for help? Because this is back in the day where there's no cell phones. You remember everybody's phone number by heart in your mind. But how do I go to a phone when I don't have money? I don't know where the phones are at. I don't want to be out here in the dark. That was Sally's mindset. That's what she was thinking. So Sally proceeded to stay in the car. She gets to his house and she don't want to get out the car. And he tell her, I'm gonna take you home. Just come on and go look at my house. I just want to show you. I need a woman's point of view. Now Sally knew that this man was engaged to somebody that used to work with them. This person quit working there because they was engaged and she didn't want to work where her husband was working once they got married. So Sally knew he was engaged and she thought to herself, okay, maybe it'll be okay because he is engaged to this person that I know from working, my coworker. So let me just go in and see his house and get out of there so he can take me home. She goes in and he proceeded to take advantage of her. He proceeded to molest her and she was scared and she didn't know what to do. She run out? These thoughts are running through her head again. Do I run out? Do I scream? I don't know where I'm at. I have no idea where I'm at. And who do I trust? Anybody else that's out here at midnight? What do I do? So she stays there and she figured, well, maybe if I'm quiet, maybe if I don't say anything, maybe he would take me home. Maybe if I let him have his way, he would take me home. So Sally stayed quiet and she surrendered to his requests. And she just laid there and she allowed him to do what he wanted to do. And then afterwards, she laid there thinking, I thought he was engaged. I thought he's supposed to be getting married. Do his fiance not give him sex? Why is he doing this to me? So Sally is scared. And then finally, he takes her home. And Sally quits her job. She didn't go back the next day. And she didn't tell anybody what happened to her. Not even her mother. Because remember, her mother beat her at the age of 8 years old, for opening up the door and letting somebody in who didn't even molest her, but could have. And so now she's fearful of what her mother would do because he actually did molest her. So she stayed quiet and she went into a depressed state of the way of thinking. Sally became very depressed and she stayed to herself. She started getting sick after a month after being with this man. She started getting sick. Little did she know she was pregnant. She didn't understand what her body was going through. She didn't even think about the possibility of getting pregnant because Sally was not a sexually active person. She knew that they took sex ed in class in school, but she didn't think about it. So now she's pregnant and she's so sick she can't even go to school. So she don't even go, she missed her classes at college and she didn't go and enroll on the first day. So therefore, they gave up her seat. When she did try to go to school a week later because she was sick, they told her that her classes was no longer available to her, that they put somebody else that was on standby in her position, in her seat. So now she can't enroll. She enrolled, but she couldn't go to school. So now she's sitting at home and she's not doing anything with her life. And that's causing her to be even more depressed because she was so happy and looking forward to going to school. She was going to school, enrolled in a program that she always dreamed of being in. And so now Sally's mother is coming down on her heart because now you graduated high school and you sitting around here and you messed up your chances of getting in college and you got to wait till another semester to get in college and you're sitting around here doing nothing with your life. So her mother's telling her, you got to get up and do something. You have to either go to work or go to school. You're not going to just sit here day after day and do nothing. So Sally gets up and she go and enroll in a program where they train you for medical billing. She enrolls in that and she's hiding her pregnancy because now she knows she's pregnant because she have missed 3 months of her menstrual cycle. And she know that is the cause of her being sick and throwing up a lot, having a morning sickness. So she wear baggy clothes, loose clothes. And she goes and she enroll in the medical billing. But it's difficult for her because she's not sure how she's going to complete this program when her stomach is getting bigger and she's hiding it from her family. And she come home and her mother's talking about her. What's wrong with you? You're gaining this weight. You're getting heavy. You're just sloping around the house. You're not doing anything. What is wrong with you? The mother's just complaining. And Sally don't know what to tell her. And she's scared because she knows she's not going to be able to hide this from her for too long. And when Sally became 6 months pregnant, she really began to show. And her mother told her, what is wrong? Tell me the truth. And she tells her mom, I'm pregnant. And her mom began to really yell at her and tell her about how she messed up her life by becoming pregnant. Why didn't you take protection? Why didn't you use something? And why did you even engage in that activity? And she tells her mom, I don't know. And then her mom said, who is this man? Who is this boy? And she says, we no longer work together. He was somebody I work with. And he's trying to buy a house. And she just made up a story to tell her mother. And her mother's like, what good is that going to do you that he's trying to buy a house? Where is he? He's not in your life. How is this going to help you? So now the mother shares the story with her brothers. And her brothers put her down because she's now carrying a child out of wedlock. She's pregnant by somebody they don't know. She's pregnant by somebody she won't tell them who he is. And he's nowhere in the picture. And they talking about her, about how she ruined her life and how stupid she is for doing such a thing. And she can't tell them the truth of what happened to her. So Sally has her baby and she moves out of her mom's house and she's taking care of her baby. And she is depressed. And she finds herself years later when her son turns about 5 years old. She finds herself leaning on an older man who was much older than her because he chased after her for 2 years. He'd seen her living by herself with her son, and he began to chase after her for 2 years. And she surrendered to him because she got a chance to see that he was not judging her and he was willing to help her with her son. And even though he was older, she didn't have no feelings for him. There was no emotions in her. She was just numb on the inside. She was numb, but she got with him because he offered to help her. Now, see, this is the scenario of the second category that women fall into when they have been violated and when they haven't been protected. There was no one there to protect them, and there was no one they can confide in who would have protected them. And when they fall into that category where they become numb to emotions and to feelings. They don't know what love is. They don't know what it feels like to be in love. They have no idea, because the only thing they ever receive is to be ridiculed, to be talked about by your family because you messed up your life, to be punished at the age of 8 because you opened the door for an older man who wanted to give you candy. And Sally didn't realize until much later in life that she was expected to think and act like an adult at the age of 8. But for years, she blamed herself. She didn't realize that she was not to blame because she was left alone and expected to think like an adult, taking care of a 2-year-old baby, and she's only 8 years old herself. And when she got that revelation, it gave her a little bit of self-esteem to say, it's not my fault. That was not my fault. But see, this is the problem that women go through and have been going through for years, and they blame themselves. And because they are hurt, they don't know how to have a daughter and talk to their daughter and instill in them what it is that they was lacking as a child, because they are hurt. How do you tell your daughter to watch out for predators? You tell them the best you can, but at the same time, you need to heal in order for you to know how to be there for your own daughter. There's a healing that needs to take place, and you know that you got to heal. And that's what women go through all the time. It is time for men to see women in the same light as they see their daughters and their mothers. Because if a man can see a woman in the same light as he see his daughter and his mother, maybe he would treat her with respect, because he definitely, a boy child, a man child, he definitely gonna protect his mother and his daughter if anybody come at them disrespecting them, especially a man. But when he viewed the woman outside of his home, he don't see her in that light. And maybe he needs to start seeing that so that he can understand and have more respect for that woman and her right to say no. It's time for men, period, to break what I call the Adam syndrome. The Adam syndrome. Yes, I'm talking about the first man created in the Bible, Adam. I'm talking about Adam. Because see, this started since the beginning of creation. And as we know from the Bible, God formed a relationship with Adam. God created Adam from the dust of the ground, aka dirt. And that's not to put the man down, because we all come from dust, and dust we will go back when our spirit leaves out of this shell of a body. But he created Adam from the dust of the ground, and he formed a relationship with Adam. He created all other living creatures from the dust of the ground. And then he gave Adam the authority to name each creature that he created. He gave Adam dominion over all the creatures that he created. And Adam named every last one of them. And then he tells Adam, he says, Adam, he said, it's time for you to have a helpmate. It is not good for you to be alone. I created all these creatures, male and female. Okay? So you are the only one who do not have someone to help you. So I am going to create a woman, a helpmate for you. He said he didn't call her a woman, he called her a helpmate. Adam called her a woman. He said, I'm going to create a helpmate for you. And so he put Adam to sleep. He put him to sleep, and he took a rib out of Adam's side, and he created the woman from Adam's rib. He closed Adam's womb back up and woke him up after he did the surgery on him. Adam woke up and the woman was created. And Adam looked at that woman and she was beautiful, I'm quite sure, because he said, whoa, my, whoa, my, that is, I'm going to call her woman. Because, whoa, she's beautiful. She is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. I'm going to call her woman. And I'm going to name her Eve. I'm going to name her Eve. And that's what Adam did. And see, before God created the woman, he gave Adam all the instructions of the land, all the instructions of everything he was to do, including not eating from the tree in the midst of the garden, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. He told Adam, all of these trees in this garden are beautiful to the eyes and good for fruit. You can eat from every tree in this garden, but from the tree in the midst of the garden, which is the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Also in the midst of the garden was the tree of life. But see, Adam wanted the one. He thought about that tree that God commanded him not to touch. Maybe he had a curiosity about it. Who knows? But God commanded him. So now, Adam and Eve, they are living their best life in that garden. They ain't got to do nothing. They ain't got to work for nothing. God provided everything he ever needed before he created him. He provided it for them. So they living their best life. Now, here come that nasty lying devil in the form of a serpent. That liar. Here he comes. And see, he target Eve. He target her because he knew that the relationship that God had was with Adam. And that through Adam, he would inform Eve. But he wanted to see how much did Eve know? What did Adam tell her? And the thing is, Adam is right there with Eve when he come to entice and deceive the woman. Adam is right there. So let me tell you about that lying devil. When he come as this deceiver to deceive you, he gonna always give you a little bit of truth. Because the devil knows the Bible too. Oh yes, he do. Trust and believe. You don't believe that? Read when Jesus went up into the wilderness into the mountains to pray for 40 days and 40 nights, and how the devil tried to deceive him and get him to bow down and worship him by giving him some scripture. And he twisted the scripture. He gave him some scripture, but not the full scripture. He gave him what he felt he needed to know to deceive him enough to win him over. But see, Jesus wasn't having it because he was God manifested in the flesh. But anyway, so that's what the devil did. He came with some truth when he came to Eve, because he comes to Eve and he asked her a question. He said, did God command you? Did God say to not eat of every tree in the garden? Did God tell you not to eat of every tree in the garden? Eve goes, no. God said that we can eat of every tree in the garden, but he said that we cannot eat of the tree in the midst of the garden, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, because if we even touch it, we should die. And you know what that serpent told her? You're not going to die. You're not going to die. He doesn't want you to be like a God, like him. He doesn't want you to be open to the knowledge of good and evil like him, but you're not going to die. And so Eve, not having that relationship with God the way Adam did, her relationship with God was indirect. It was through Adam. So she standing there with her husband. And the thing that gets me was, this is why she was not protected. This is why women have the problem they have. Because she's standing there with her husband, and he's the one that had the relationship with God. He's the one that named all the animals and knew their characteristics. So when he saw that serpent come and deceive his wife and give her a little bit of truth about the knowledge, that tree from the knowledge of good and evil, when he saw that, he should have said, when did the serpent learn how to talk? When did the serpent get this type of knowledge? I know all these animals. I know all these creatures that God created because I named them. So he should have stepped in, and he should have told his wife that God commanded us to not eat of this tree, and we're not going to eat of it. He should have told that serpent to flee and leave us be because we're going to follow the command of God. But he didn't do that. He stood there and listened to the serpent have the conversation with Eve as he stood there and watched. And then Eve took of the tree because the serpent told her. She looked at it and she said, well, it is good. It does look good. It's good of good fruit. And she took it and she ate it. Man looked at her for a minute. Say, okay, she didn't drop dead. God said if we touch it, you'll drop dead. You would die. She didn't drop dead. She didn't die. She's still living. So she turned and after she ate the fruit, she gave it to Adam and he ate it. And then when he ate it, immediately sin came into the world and their eyes was open to the knowledge of good and evil. Because they looked at themselves and said, oh my God, we're naked. We're showing our private parts. So what they did was sew together some fig leaves and they made aprons. Now I'm quite sure Adam had an apron that tied around his waist. And Eve probably had an apron that went over her head that covered her breasts and her her cookie area and covered her there. So now they have the knowledge and they sinned against God. They sinned, both of them sinned against God. So God knows they sinned. He's all knowing. But he'll ask you questions just to see just to see that you know you sinned. You know you're a liar. I'm not going to tell you a liar. I'm going to let you show yourself you're a liar. So they hear God's voice. Adam hears God's voice walking in the garden. He hears his voice. And so him and Eve ran and they hid. And then God called his name. He called Adam's name. He didn't address Eve because he gave the command to Adam. His relationship was with Adam. His relationship with Eve was in an indirect way through Adam. So he tells Adam, Adam, where art thou? Where are you? And Adam says, I'm hiding because I'm naked. We are naked. That's why we're hiding, because we are naked. Now he's speaking for his wife, but his wife spoke for him when she was talking to the serpent. And God says, who told you you are naked? Now see, he was not in God's presence. Because see, when he heard God's voice walking in the garden, he ran and hid from out of his presence. He hid from God's presence because no sin can be in God's presence. And now Adam's eyes was open to this knowledge. He was open to this knowledge that you cannot put sin before God. No sin can be before him. So he hid, and he said, we hid because we are naked. And God said, who told you? Did you eat from the tree that I commanded you not to eat from? Did you eat? He told Adam. And you know what Adam did? He said, "It is that woman that you gave to me. She did it. She ate from the tree and then she gave to me. She did it." He blamed the woman. And since the beginning of creation, women has been blamed and they haven't been protected. He didn't protect her when the serpent was telling her something contrary to what God had told him. And he blamed her when God came and asked him that question. And since that time, the woman has been blamed and not protected. So now it's time for men to stand up and have more respect for a woman as his helpmate, to have more respect for her. We can't stop your lust, your imagination. We can't stop that. But you can change how you handle us because of your lust. Love is a beautiful thing, and love making is a beautiful thing. When it's done right and when it's consensual, it's a beautiful thing. So therefore, don't take away a woman's choice and her free will. Don't take away her choice and her right to say no. There's too many women out here in this world who will be willing to give it to you and be in a relationship with you the right way, where you don't have to abuse another woman. Just like Sally, that she was abused by somebody who was engaged to get married, but he had to have Sally. Why? Why did he have to have her and cause her all of the trouble that she had to go through in life that would cause her to be damaged and have to find healing in life? Why did he have to do that to her? You're engaged. Why did you have to take of her body, take away her free will, take away her right? This is what happens. So it's time for men to stop and stop looking at women and saying, she kikiing in my face because her boobs move. Yeah, her boobs gonna move when she move. Hell, they hanging from her chest. What do you think they gonna do? She wearing a bra to try to keep them intact as much as she can. But yeah, they're gonna hang. They're gonna move. That's not a sign that she's saying, "Come and get me, take of me." Excuse me. That's not what she's saying. So please change, repent for for your lustfulness, your way of thinking, and treat that woman better with respect. Please click the subscribe button. Peace, people. I'm out.